right, the countdown has begun, or has ended, I should say, and you've tuned in to Played in Traffic with your hosts, Louis Lee, Ray Guarino from Motor Mouth Radio, and our special guest tonight, Luke Tucker from Easy Red.
All right. Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. So how's it going, Luke? First off, your company, your grandfather started this company in 1966.
Yep.
Man, that's incredible to be able to go that far back or keep a business in the family that long. So
yeah, usually they say the third generation ruins it. So let's hope let's hope they're wrong here, right?
Right. So give us a little background of what you do.
Yeah, so like you said, my grandfather started the company back in 1966. He was a independent tool jobber. You know, he had a Volkswagen van, and he was a salesman. He went around and sold spark plugs, ignitions, tools. He was really into energy, like battery power. My grandpa actually had an electric car in the 80s, which, I mean, they're just
wow. Really,
we know they're just big golf carts, but still there wasn't electric cars. Like, they're becoming popular now. He had one in 83, I think. It was called a city car. But anyway, a lot of battery related products on his truck, on the Volkswagen van. And one of them happened to be the battery hydrometer to test your specific gravity, your battery, see where the charge is. He also had antifreeze hydrometers to see where your temperature was good for your antifreeze. Now, all of us know what the hydrometer does. But back then in the 60s, it was a glass tube with all different kinds of gauges in it. And I'm pretty sure, we all know what a technician will do in glass in a shop. I mean, it's going to last about 30 seconds, right?
Right.
So he was always selling them, but he was so upset because they were breaking. And he's like, well, this is a bad design. So he got together with an engineer. They came up with what is now our SP-101 and SP-102. They almost look exactly like they did in the 60s. They designed a new hydrometer. Real simple. They made it ABS plastic instead of glass, so when you dropped it, it wouldn't break. And they took 4 gauges, made them 1 gauge so you can read the dial gauges. Just so his sales pitch when he was selling out of his route, he started to sell to corporates. He went to Snap-on, to Allied Tools, which is now Mac and Matco. And his sales pitch was, hey guys, this is so much easier to read. And he sold them. And when he started buying the injection molding machine, coming up with the business, he said easy to read so much, he called the company Easy Red, kind of like a play on words. And, now fast forward almost 60 years later, my father and I are in the business together. We have a partner who's helped us grow a lot, Bob, and his son, Frank. They've partnered up with us. Bob and my father have been working together for 20 plus years, and we're just having a lot of fun selling tools and coming up with new ideas. And, we're growing every year. We're really, I mean, how lucky am I? I'm selling awesome stuff, and, I'm working with my dad and some friends. It's just, I'm blessed, it's excellent. We love it.
I love the history of that and the fact that the family can work together. And I gotta ask, how did you become the media guy?
Really, I mean, as you can see, Ray, it's my good looks.
Yeah.
Mainly, and my awesome personality. No, I mean, I guess I became kind of the face of the company. I do most of our traditional sales. I mean, we've got another part of the business that does retail. We're into Home Depot and Lowe's and some bigger box stores, and that's not really my territory. But our traditional sales, the mobile tools, the hard parts and the part stores, that's me. So, right. Everybody's got to be good at something. I guess I'm good at interpersonal, getting along with people and chatting up. Like I said, I love it. I mean, I don't get to sell like pharmaceuticals or pillows or something. I sell tools, and it's fun, and it's and my family started the business, so how could you not love it and be passionate about it and want to just talk about it forever?
Well, you could or couldn't, because I know plenty of businesses. I know some people personally that had family businesses for a couple generations, and then you hear like by the 3rd generation or the 4th, like, no, those kids now went to school. The other parents got smart and said, hey, you're going to school. You're not doing what I did. You're going to go to school, get a college education. Right. And I don't want to run the pizzeria or the deli or the hardware store or whatever it is, the repair shop.
Well, yeah, I think my father, my grandfather had it, and like I said, he was into the energy. He loved the battery part of it. So once the hydrometers kicked off, he started getting. We had like a 500 amp load tester and cables, clamps. You know, he bought a business in the 80s. It was series battery chargers, and my father came in and expanded it to where he could. And then he partnered up with Bob, and I came in about right when Bob did. But Bob and his son Frank took the company to the next level. We got into this, you know, inventive. We hired industrial designers, and what keeps Easy Red unique and what keeps the business so fresh, and for me just like looking forward to every day, is we actually design products. We don't shelf shop and go find something existing over in Asia and change a label, change a color, and call it ours. We have over 20 patents. We've got a handful of industrial designers, and we come up with ideas. We 3D print them, we troubleshoot them, and we come out with a product. So when I'm out selling it, I can be like, man, I remember that day when, you know, we came up with that idea. Like the neck light, you know, it's like, right. I honestly thought a neck light, that sounds like a novelty. And I mean, we've sold hundreds of thousands of them, and it's like, well, not so much a novelty. It's the best item we've ever had, and it's so handy, and I use it all the time. So,
and I know previously to the neck light, actually my co-host on the radio show, Chris, had given me a headlight.
Yeah,
you know, with an elastic strap. And I said, I'm not going to wear that stupid thing. Look like a dick working on my. Come on,
like Cyclops. Yeah.
I said, no, I ain't doing that. And he swore about it. I said, I guess so. And there was a fellow at the auto parts store by me who had a pair of reading glasses that had little LEDs on the side that he could turn on. I said, where'd you get those? He got them on Canal Street down in the city.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny because years
prior, bargained for him.
One of my old co-hosts had given me at Christmas. They were sold through Sears, through Craftsman. It was just a pair of glasses.
Steelman made them.
Okay, it was just glasses with the bridge, but there were no lenses, and there were you could adjust. There were 2 LEDs on each side that you could turn, and I loved those things. I said, you know, you could work on it, and that was the preview to the neck light, which of course, as we all know, you know, I wear it on my head, and you know, just work on stuff.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. Really?
Well, now, do they sell your neck light at Home Depot?
We've designed a version of it for Home Depot. Yeah, they do.
Okay.
AA batteries, not rechargeable, but it's a they do have that in Home Depot and Lowe's, using their names. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
what Chris has is our professional. It's, you know, somebody like myself, I'm going to use, I hunt, so I'm going to use it in the morning when I go in. I don't use the neck light all the time. My buddy owns a body shop. He doesn't take it off his neck. He's got it on and sometimes he leaves it on and just works like, so he's going to spend the money and buy the rechargeable version.
Right.
Because he'd be spending hundreds of dollars a year in just AA batteries.
Right.
Or a guy like myself, I like the AA batteries. So after 7 months, when it starts to get bad, I just pop the batteries in, you know, and you get a new one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's a great, you know, like if you leave a light in the car or whatever, and it goes down. I mean, you may not have a charging cable, you know, so the batteries are great. And Lewis, this is also, you know, I have a second one. If you look, who makes that one?
Oh, Mecca. Okay.
Yeah.
So these get rebranded for the tool company. So it is the same. Great. Actually, I noticed, and I did notice today that the light is different. This is a rectangular design, and this is a square design.
Yeah, we get together with the Matco engineers, and they help us out with their design, and you know, and that's one thing I do is, you know, go over, meet with them, and talk about how they want to have. This is our concept, and then Matco kind of Matcoizes it, and
right,
they come up with their product. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to go buy one from Home Depot, but I'll buy it from Brian. I'll really give him the business.
Yeah. Brian's definitely got them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I mean, our Easy Red products can be bought in almost any. You know, the mobile tool trucks, they all have them. Auto parts stores have them. We've got our own Amazon shop. So just look for the Easy Red brand, or you know, if you want a neck light, the patent we have is so strong on it, you pretty much find one. It's ours.
You know, on Sunday, Brian was on Brian and Luke were on Motormouth Radio this past Sunday. You can check it on motormouthradio.com. And I mentioned my favorite Easy Red light, and this is it. This baby right here. This thing, Lewis, you know, it'll give you, you know, it's got an end to it, and you can dim it which is come on, dim down. But magnet on the back, magnet on the back, magnet on the bottom, the hook.
Nice.
And it just feels good in your hand. This light feels so good in your hand.
Yeah, it's solid. And it's kind of cool how we took those LEDs and, you know, the technology's changed so much from those individual small diodes or bigger diodes that you had to have 50 of them to get brightness. That's a COB. They're just little chips.
Technology. Correct.
They're little chips that, and we talked to the factories and the engineers, and I said, can we advertise with the lights? Can we make our name the actual board? And we did. So it's kind of like a subliminal advertising. The light is actually our name. I mean, it's not like the Batman symbol. It just comes out as a light, but it's still pretty cool.
When they came out with cob technology, that's chip on board is what that stands for.
Right on. Yep.
That really just blew the LED market out of the water, because instead, like I said, instead of the individual lights, now they had an array. And Lewis, that's what what's his name from the LED from the that guy.
Radiance LEDs.
Radiance LEDs, maybe the taillights and the same idea. When you put those things together in an array, man, like I said, small planes follow me when I hit the brake lights. They think,
it's crazy. You know, you go to some of these factories and, Mopar has their high beam chip. It's absolutely the size of a BB.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, you could land an airplane with it. It's amazing,
right. Yeah, it really is.
But our struggle and why we're good at what we do is we find out you can get the brightest light in the world, you still have to power it, right? You're not going to plug it in anymore. Guys don't want it plugged in. They're going to trip over the cord. They want it cordless,
right?
But it has to be, the battery has to be small fitting so you can have a handheld one. You can't just get this giant battery. So you have to find that happy medium of runtime and power, because you don't want it to run for, there's some of these companies that say, yeah, our lights are 10,000 lumens and it runs for 6 hours off of a nickel metal hydride 3.6 volt battery. And it's like, wait a minute, you can Google that and figure out that it runs for 32 seconds if that was the truth.
Yeah, you can look at the amp hour rating and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Do a little bit of math.
Yeah, Mitch from
Mitch.
Radiance.
Yes. Yeah. But I figured this way: if guys known how guys deal with instructions, they're not going to do a little bit of math and figure out amp hours versus volts. And
instructions are just another man's opinion, right?
I really do read the directions. My wife's like, "Oh yeah, put it together." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I got to read directions."
I sit there, and I got to tell you something, Luke. We take clips from the show as they occur. It's not always weekly. We like to get clips from our guests, and Chris is a master at stringing them together and making a promo. And cool. It's really all the guests talking, not us. So he did just make a new one, and we're going to debut it not this Sunday, but in January, the first week of January. Okay, and you're in it because
all right.
I sent him a clip from the end of the show. I forget what the hell we were talking about. That was kind of funny. And I said, there's a clip in the beginning, but I didn't grab it because we were all kind of talking. And it's when you said that about instructions, where it's just,
another man's opinion,
just an opinion. Well, he grabbed it and he put it in the promo.
That's cool.
That's I'll send you a copy of it when
as I got older, I learned, hey, you got to read these directions, man, because you waste a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like putting stuff together.
Yeah, I'll never forget that lesson. I don't know. Maybe you guys had it too, but I don't even know what grade it was. Maybe 6th or 7th grade. It was about reading instructions. The instructions were write your name on this piece of paper.
Right.
End of instruction. And then there was 4 million questions, and they were impossible things. So everybody in the classroom is like, they can't figure out the questions. They're raising their hand. The teacher's like, just read the instructions and do the assignment.
Uh-huh.
Well, we can't. We don't even know what this means. Read the instructions and do the. All you had to do was write your name and you were done.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to read instructions. It is important.
Now I'll say this because I am an instruction reader. I actually, part of one of my jobs was as a technical writer. I had to write instructions or write parts of instructions for people. So I learned how to do that, and it's kind of tedious work because you have to assume the person reading them knows nothing, and it can be it's a whole nother way of thinking. But Lewis, the problem I have now is I take instructions out of whatever it is. God help me if it's I IKEA is like, of course, we know that's the worst. And now you try to figure out how they took their native language, wherever it was, and converted it to English.
Yep.
And a lot of these companies do not do a good job of it.
No, they don't. It's funny.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the worst.
No, we bought our laser engraver from a factory in Taiwan, and it was it was a good deal, but unfortunately, and we didn't think about this, everything, the writing, all the instructions is all in Mandarin.
Right.
So we had to get it translated, and the translation is not real good English, so it was just a struggle to figure it out. And
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I actually have I bought a ultrasonic cleaner. I had my wife buy it for me for Christmas, but I took the directions out because I wanted to go through it first. And I mean, it's ultrasonic cleaner. What's the big deal? But still, I'm going to read through them. And I actually started highlighting lines of text that were translated. And I'm going to use it on the show as an example of, how instructions are not, it's not what you always think they are. They're kind of poor. And sometimes it, like in this case, it wasn't misleading or didn't not tell you how to use the device. It's just the way that they use the words. And let's face it, I think if there's any language in the world that I wouldn't want to have to learn as a second language, it would be English. I mean, I think I'd rather learn Mandarin or Russian, because the way we say things and we have so many different usages and inflections on words, and and I've known people who came from other countries, and learned English, and for the first couple of years, all you do is goof on them because they don't get the joke,
Right.
And then they slowly catch on, and they still say, but I still don't understand why you guys say this. Like, I know.
Neither do we.
Well, then you get into the dialects and how we really bastardize. I mean, and of course, being from New York, I get that whenever I travel. Like, oh yeah, you must be from New York.
It's funny. People be like, you don't sound like you're from New York. I'm like, no, I'm not from that part of New York. I'm from upstate. I don't have the accent.
Right. That part. That's like when I talked to Clay Coon down in Mississippi. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, and he had the best line of all. He says, "Yeah, Ray," he says, I said, when I first met you, I had to like figure out your language, And he says, "Yeah," he goes, "The best way is if I could slow you down and you could speed me up."
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We got a couple of questions over in the chat. Papa Squirrel wants to know, how long does the hand lights last?
So that's a great question, because we go to trade shows, and we've been like the evolution of these handheld lights. That light that you showed, Ray, is the 4th generation. Back in the early 2000s, I think 05, 06, Easy Red and UView were the first. We were the first two to come out with cordless handheld lights. And with the batteries and the technology, I mean, they were selling for like $120 a piece. Yeah. And they were like 100 lumens. They had 30 of the inexpensive Chinese LEDs, and they were just, right now they seem like an old relic, but it was state of the art back then.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the question. It was like, how long is it going to last? And how bright is it? And so the 5th generation, we've realized it's so important to people. Like, and I see somebody else has another question, or they have a statement about sometimes the lowest level, like 500 lumens, which that's what that light is. That is bright.
That is.
So like if you're up close and personal working on something, that's too bright. So like he says there, the lowest setting, usually it's click 1, low setting, click 2, high setting, click 3 is off. That's how we had it with the switches.
Uh-huh.
So we realized, like, well, let's just make a dimmable switch. That way, wherever somebody's comfortable at, if you want to keep it on low, that'll last for 30 hours.
Yeah.
With those 4.6 volt, 41860 batteries, it's like perfect. But if you want it high, like you can dim it up, and it'll last not as long. But so it's right now it's kind of a on full high, which is 500 lumens. That light will last for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's still
Which is
good.
a pretty good time. I mean, you can charge it at your lunch break and whatnot. But normally people say, like, hey, I turn it on full blast and then I dim it down for like 2 seconds and it's perfect. And it lasts all day.
Yeah, many times, like I've gotten under a dashboard with either that light or the neck light on my head, and it's just, whoa, it's too bright because you're too close, and the dimming feature is a godsend. It's like,
Yeah, it's cool. And we were the first ones to come out with that dimming feature on cordless products.
I just remembered in the next room, I have an old light. It's a snap-on LED light, and it's an older one, you know, with the individual LEDs. And I know, like, when I turn that on now compared to the new ones, I say, is this thing charged?
Funny, right? Yeah.
It's so, and it's only, I have it maybe 4 years.
Yeah. It's crazy. We came out with the pocket light, the PCOB. We designed it back in 08 and 50 lumens. And it was a little handheld pocket light that was 50 lumens. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Now it's 175 lumens, and it's just, I mean, it's so much brighter, but now that's the standard, you know?
Right.
Okay, where can I find the pocket one? Because I got this pocket one, and it's too big. It hits my phone, cracks the glass, all kind of mess.
Well, our pocket one is a little bigger. It's actually plastic, and it's the part number is a Easy Red PCOB. PCOB, and we've got PCOB-O is orange, -G is green.
Is this one?
No, that's
a little bigger than just pocket. It's
that's a brand that we've gotten a license from, the Real Tree brand. We also have the Caterpillar global license, so Caterpillar lights. Yeah. And we do have, if you look on the website easyred.com, you can go through, and at the bottom there's a link to our cat page. It's catlights.com. And I believe the part number is a 2210 CT2210. It's a little pocket light, AA or AAA batteries, super nice, fits right in your front pocket here, and that's the smallest one we have. There you go. And that's our friend Sheldon. Sheldon is a friend of the family. Actually went to Ohio State. He's a doctor, and he went overseas to, I'm not going to pretend it was a third world country, to help out, and we sent him some of those lights, and he went over to help these young kids, and that's what he used to do all of his medical practice. So it was kind of cool to put on our page.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Do you do any gun lights?
No, but I do clean my gun with an older light we have that was on a telescopic antenna. We actually discontinued it just because the technology got old. But no, we don't have gun lights. But I've cleaned my muzzle loader just the other day with one of those with the neck light, because you just position it right and you can see right down the whole muzzle, and it works great.
Wow, a muzzle loader. That's history.
That's real, man.
Well, these are inline muzzle loaders, and they're not flintlock, but it's not like a high powered rifle anymore, you know. But it takes a 50 caliber ball, and pretty fun to hunt with.
So I've never fired one of those. I'm sure it doesn't have the kick and recoil of a gas system or a cartridge, but it's got is it a little like slower and smoother?
Well, like the flintlock is slower because you have to measure the powder. The kick is all about the gunpowder you put in.
Yeah.
These inline muzzleloaders, they have pellets of gunpowder that are pre-measured, and they're pellets. So they're 50 grains a piece. Yeah. I put in 2 pellets, so 100 grains, and a 50 caliber, like a sabot on top of it. Push it down with the ramrod, and then cock the hammer back and fire it. You have to put a primer in there too, but it's modern. It's not measuring the powder, putting it in a little thing and screwing it up, and it doesn't take. You can reload in probably 30 seconds instead of like 10 minutes, like a minute. So, but yeah, no, it's fun. It's if you some people put 150 grains and that sets you back, against your shoulder. But the 100 grains, my neighbor's 13-year-old can shoot it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I had the impression that it's like a slower and more of a push than a jolt is how I.
No, it's about the same as a 12 gauge, really. With
Right. So you're using that for just sport. You're not hunting with that thing, are you?
Oh yeah, yep. We have a muzzleloader season. In New York, there's bow season in October, and then it goes into rifle. And then now is muzzleloader season, where you can also use your bow, but it's the muzzleloader. You shoot a rifle, you can kill a deer at 300 yards with your scope, and if you're good, you know what you're doing.
Right.
Muzzleloader, you're good for maybe 50 to 100 yards. It's more of a challenge, and the deer have been chased around all season. So it is challenging, but it's fun, you know?
Yeah. What's the velocity on something like that? Like,
So that's what I don't like about the muzzle loaders is if you have a little bit more distance, the bullet doesn't penetrate enough, and the deer could suffer. And you really need to get up close because it's such a big sabot and a high The power is not.
Well, what's the muzzle velocity? Like, what's it leave the barrel at? Do you know?
I don't know that, but it's significantly slower than a rifle bullet.
Oh hell yeah, it's because you have rifling and
right. And they can rifle out the muzzles of a muzzleloader, but it's still that big ball isn't going through. And they try to shape them, and they make they try to make it modern so it's faster and stuff, but it's still a muzzleloader, and it
Yeah, Tyler says a shoulder cannon.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I guess it's akin to a shotgun slug. That's about a 50 caliber size.
Pretty much, yep. And but that's got all kinds of beads and pellets in it, that spread out or however the choke is. This is just,
big ball,
like a slug, a solid lead slug.
I think I actually have one. No, I don't have it here.
You ever fly one of those, Lewis? Have you ever had the?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's fun.
Now I have to. I'm at the call some fellas.
Lewis.
Yeah. Okay, we're at the half hour
mark
of the hour. So we'll get the fellas to jump in and people ask you some questions.
Awesome.
There's our other guy. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, John.
How you doing? What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Toolman.
Brian.
Let go.
Luke, what's up?
Hi, brother. How are you, man?
Doing so good. These are the homies that hang out with us every week.
All right. What's going on, guys?
Now, it ends up that Justin Ebbets, he caught COVID, so he's sick. He won't be around tonight. He's recovering. So, yeah, I told him I'd give him a mention. So
he got it from PRI.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
so did Dwayne Maddox.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dwayne Maddox got home that Sunday, and he was sick.
You still pitched you didn't go, John?
No. I'm cool.
Me and Tyler were there. We didn't get it.
Right.
Well, you
Not
got
yet. Don't worry.
Good immunity.
We're all going to get it. That's what the man said. We're all going to get it.
We're all going to get it.
The winter season of death.
Season of death. Yeah, those were encouraging words from our leader for sure.
Oh, I didn't hear that beauty. Yeah.
Oh, he's the best. He's amazing.
I have a friend that works for the county at the school bus lot, and in the letter was basically you can live and have a happy life if you get vaccinated, but other than that, you're going to have a cold, slow, miserable winter of death.
Yeah,
you don't. And that's basically how it came out, and it had the White House logo. This came from the man upstairs about what's just going to be miserable and day of death if you don't get the shot, but you can have rainbows and unicorns afterwards.
Yeah, you're going to win the lottery and all that stuff if you get the.
Are you sure he just wasn't talking about people who are going to be getting married this year?
Did you ever think you'd be living in a country where there was nothing but pure propaganda and bullshit coming from upstairs?
I was just in the mall tonight with my daughter doing some Christmas shopping, and we went to the calendar kiosk because my wife likes this one calendar we get every year. And they were training this new guy in the register, and there was a fellow in front of me, regular looking guy. And the guy says, you have a card, right? He goes, card. He goes, what? Cash is no good? And he says, well, no, we're using cards, not cash. I'm like, oh, I was going to pay with cash too. And he says, what's the matter with cash? So the kid says, well, yeah, I can't make change. And I don't know if that meant he can't make change or he had no change to make with. He probably couldn't do it.
Both.
Well, it's probably the company policy because there's germs now on money, and you want that touchless transaction. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, yet every single bank I go into claims there's a national coin shortage.
Right.
Still, after 2 years.
I'm like, all right, well, you don't want to accept stuff and you don't want to make change, so get rid of the sign. Because there's
and I actually have an acquaintance on Facebook who works at the Mint in Denver and said that they've been going 3 shifts for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of anything.
Well,
You know, and
anyway,
You know, the worst part about the whole thing is, I mean, I've got 3 young kids, 15, 12, and 8, and you know, they've missed so much school, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And my daughter's a straight A student. My sons take after me. They're like a C. But my daughter's grades have just dropped because she says, Dad, I can't, like, this is how she does her classroom, like this, like how
Right.
we're doing.
On Zoom, yeah.
right.
Just not, it doesn't work.
Luke,
doesn't.
you want to hear something funny? My youngest, Emma, unfortunately, a lot like me, and in the C department, that is.
Yeah.
But this was before COVID. She was, skating on very thin ice.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, we all get the lockdown and we get into this type of learning. And she has done a 250-degree turnaround and she has exploded. And like right now, she's
I've heard
upstairs
that.
reading a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would never been able to get her to do that.
Yeah.
And every one of her
this is
teachers has said, "What did you guys do?" So it's amazing how each student is different that way.
It is. And I think I have heard that. I have a buddy of mine who's like, I think I'm going to keep my daughter out of school because she's just doing so much better. But I think the majority are like, and they want to see their friends. They want to be kids. They want to play sports.
Sure.
They just I coach all the youth sports, and they just shut down our basketball program. Well, because I live in New York and it's a ridiculous state when it comes to rules like that. But it's ridiculous. I mean, first of all, they make the 8-year-olds wear masks playing basketball, which
That's a health issue right there.
no, that's
Yep.
fun, right.
Yep.
What
I
are
don't
they
know.
doing? These kids start keeling over on the court.
Yeah.
It's
Someone posted a screenshot where their kid in their school book had been drawing masks on all the cartoon children because they looked weird without the mask.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a meme
Yeah.
the other day that was funny. It was these 2 mice that came into the hole and they had these masks and they're like, look at all these hammocks everybody's throwing away.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that same one.
It's funny.
Oh,
Well, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
a crazy world we're living in, guys.
It's affecting different people different ways. I was coming up I-75 this afternoon, and there's a new exit going in. So the bridge is already bridge spans across the highway. So the construction crew is up there doing what they're doing. And there's a guy walking the steel outside, and he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I still see him. I still see plenty of people in their cars driving around, masked, and it's 40 degrees, but they got hats and gloves and coats. Like, what? Don't you have heat in that car? Like, what the hell? I'm wearing this in 30-degree weather. And
I got questioned today because where's your jacket? And all I have is a t-shirt on. Unfortunately, Luke, I was going to bring some show and tell.
Yeah.
But I've sold out everything. So
that's
good.
That's a good thing.
Those neck lights went fast, and
the holiday season is there's a big push for them, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, my last stop,
Right.
I had a guy goes, man, I need some gifts, and I had I think I had 3 of the neck lights still hanging up, and he's like, I'll take those, and of course I had one of each flavor, red, green, and orange, and
how much do those run?
I don't know. I'll let you know, Lewis. I can hook you up. That's not a problem.
Brian, who makes this light for you?
That one.
See it. That's Easy Red.
Is it Easy Red?
Yeah.
This is my second favorite light. It's like
Oh.
small.
I have those sitting right up by my cash register or my checkout, and those
Sit on that
things
light.
just go left and right. I can't keep them.
This is a fantastic light for the size. The power this thing has is unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's handy and it flips out. It's kind of cool.
Right.
Back in the day, back in one of the earlier lights we had, it was an FL 1701. Remember when the flip lights were the thing back in like the 2006, 7, 8? The flip phone. Everybody had a phone, like I forget what it was, not the Cobra, but whatever it was called. It flipped out. Razor.
Razor.
So we designed FL flip light, and it was like, it was like that phone, but you opened it up and all the lights turned on. It was like a refrigerator door. The switch was up against the one side. Like Ray's phone.
Except it doesn't have a light.
No.
And between those lights and my
Your scrapers,
our scrapers here,
That's a hefty looking piece.
this one's like I said, I sell these. This one actually, I put a plastic razor blade in because this is what takes off my decals.
Oh, okay.
Decals on my trade-ins. Little WD-40 and a scrape, and you don't scratch the paint.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a handy one.
Cleaning gaskets off of heads and stuff.
Yeah.
Working,
And my personal still,
ends
this
on a
one is
manifold.
discontinued, but this one was
Okay.
Yeah, that's we talked about that the other night, the 1000.
And this was
UV light
with the UV in it.
Oh, nice.
Like I
Brian,
said.
we just launched a new item with you. I don't know if you're on that sampling program, but I think it's an MBS1, MMBS1. It's a magnetic mat.
Oh yeah. I've got one on the truck.
Okay, that's ours.
Yeah, I've got one of those, and you had another one also.
Now, what is the mat? Hold on, you throw out the name. What does it do?
It's go on, Luke. It's your show.
It's a 11 by 8 magnetic mat that it's made of a certain type of plastic, and it's got neodymium magnets in it. You can fold it up into like a ruler size, put it in your pocket, and it's flexible and bendable. So if you're like, you're repairing a ratchet in your truck, you can lay that out, repair the ratchet, put all the springs and all the parts on it. The magnets will hold it, put it back together, and it's just handy. It's like a little tray, a magnetic tray that's portable and that folds up. You can bend it around a wheel well, and it'll stick. You can stick stuff on it. It's a cool magnetic mat that's flexible.
Is that the one that Michael's wife showed Brian on a video about a week ago?
Quite possible.
I think it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
Yeah,
and like we have a problem. Ray, we once talked about, back in the day when you had a regular fender cover and the fenders were kind of square, they hung on the car. Yeah. And then, of course, when they started getting, egg shaped or round, or they have a different, you put a fender cover on it, it would slide right off or fall. And that's one thing about like that magnetic thing. You can put that on there, and like you said, it's going to hold your wrench, or it's going to hold the bolts that you took off, like if you're changing a battery or something, or anything. Instead of, because there's no place to set it unless you set it in the engine compartment. We all know it all falls down in the motor compartment someplace, and then you're getting the car back together, not put together. So, like I said, that those flexible mats, like you said, are awesome. Actually, I think when I got it in, somebody bought it already. I don't.
Yeah. So you're part of that. I forget what they used to call it, like the sampling program, but you sign up for it, and you don't order it. If like the category manager says it's really cool, you're just going to automatically be the first ones to get it.
Right. I get I'm at they have 3 different levels, like $100 level or a $200, and I maxed mine out. So
you might as well, right? You never know.
Well, it's for us on the business end. It's no. I'm trying to think of the word, but it's no issue on sending it back. If we don't sell it,
right,
we don't get charged restocking fee or anything like that. No risk. That's what it is. So
well, and sometimes that's cool because we've designed products where we were sure, like our Hood Hawk light with the under hood with the clamp and the whole thing, and boy, we thought we were counting the money before we start, and we couldn't give them away. It just didn't. It didn't compute to the market, and it's like, and so sometimes it's just the opposite. It's like, well, the neck light, gosh, it seems like a novelty. I guess we'll try it. I mean, look at it. You never know. I mean, your opinion is one thing, but your customers are really. So you never know. You might as well be part of that program. You never know what's going to sell.
Yeah, that's why I do market research and focus groups, and that's one of the things I do. They call me a couple times a year to do focus groups, and I've done everything from flooring to like ring dings and.
One of the big problems, though, also, and I even fall into this category, is a lot of times you have to show the customer. Just like we were talking about when you get a brand new item and you got to pull that tag so that the batteries are connected. You would think that, and like you said, yours are really good because you have a big yellow tag sitting there, like remove, to pull this. And I go in the next week and they say, hey, I charged this thing up for 3.5 days and it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, did you remove the tag? What
did
tag?
you read the instructions?
This big yellow thing in front of you, and of course, again, I get. I was afraid that it would break, or I didn't want to break it, or
when I used to sell them on my tool trucks,
it was very, very nice to get a cord.
You don't have one.
You can plug both ends of it in, and then the other end into your USB device. So you don't have to do one side at a time. You get a Y cord, which in itself
it's pretty handy.
When I would sell,
that was from your neck light.
Yeah. What was that, Tyler?
When I would sell easy red lights off of my tool truck a couple years ago, a lot of guys, they would just snip the tag instead of pull it.
Oh no.
People will do the they had that show on TV, right? Kids say the smartest things. They should have mechanics will do the dumbest things.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Guy can map do a fuel map on on an engine, and he can do high level diagnostics, but he can't figure out how to make a light work.
It's true.
It's crazy.
Yeah, hey, Luke, I had the under hood clamp lights.
Yeah.
Those see, I would use that all the time, but they're hard to find. You guys still sell those? Or no?
We still do. Yep. XLU, HLS. I think the problem was it was a marketing thing that we did wrong. It was one of probably 3 mistakes I've ever made in my life. So it's weird, but no, it's we thought, boy, these 6-foot under hood lights are really selling great for $200 a piece. But who wants to have a 6-foot light? How are you going to fit that in your toolbox? Where are you going to store it? Who wants to pay $200 for it? So we thought and we designed this. It took forever, but like I said, we were ready to rule the world with it. We had a clamping system that you could and there was a 1,000 lumen light. You put the light on the clamp. You could pull down on the spring piece, pull the light off the clamp. It also came with a handheld, like a pistol grip. You could put that same light on the pistol grip. So it was an interchangeable system. We called it the Hood Hawk, the under hood light. We limited ourselves because, and from then, I mean, this is 7 or 8 years ago. Now we get the light out to some people before we market it and before we even put a price tag on it. Because I'd give it to my buddy Randy I went to high school with, and he's in Mueller's Collision and Deposit. He has a good shop, and he's like, yeah, you call it a Hood Hawk, but I've had it on my wheel well for the last 2 weeks, and I brought it out. I barely use it under the hood, but it's the best light for, we go out on a record call, I clip it to the guardrail. Right, or there was just so many millions of things, but we limited ourselves by calling it an under hood light.
I sold a lot of those, and I still do. I have one on the truck.
We designed one for Matco to use your battery system. Your
and what I did was I would walk in because that clamp that went on the hood.
Yeah.
The way it's positioned, you could set it on the floor and it shoots up.
Yeah, you could. Yep.
So I would walk in, and the guy would be underneath the car working, pulling a I sold 3 or 4 in a transmission shop that way.
Oh, yeah.
I would walk in, just set it on the floor and turn it on. And of course, with 1,000 lumens, it was like having the sun underneath the car. And they're like, hey, where did all this light come from?
Right.
And I was like, this is it.
Brian, tell a story about when you first encountered the new Ford F-150.
That's what I was joking about with Luke about when they can come out with a aluminum magnet.
Yeah,
because we have one light. It looks like a camera. It has a prop on it, and you can make it a spot or a flood. I can't remember the part number right offhand, but
it's a MFL 1500A. MFL 1500A, right?
And it has like I said, it looks like a camera, but
like an old Polaroid camera.
Yeah, old Polaroid, and it has a handle on it with a magnet. and it works great as a hood light, because it sticks underneath the hood. Well, I walked into a Ford dealership with this. I had my shopping cart full of these lights, and I walked up and I went to stick it on the hood, and of course I let go of it. It falls down, hits the guy in the head, and I said, "Well, this is the light." So I had to realize that we were going on. We had to make sure we have a metal hood for it to work.
Yeah, one of the first times I met Brian, he was like, I love to joke around. I mean,
That's the light right there.
He's like, hey, yeah, well, you got to come out with that aluminum magnetic light. And I kind of looked at him like, boy, I hope he's kidding. And obviously he was. But yeah, it's
that one that was in the center of the picture there with the lighting.
Yeah, that's the easy red version. I like the Metco version a little better. Right there,
Yeah.
Just go down just a little bit. That's it. The Infinity Focus.
Yep. That's probably my number one next to the headlight, the neck lights. I sell a lot of those lights, and a lot of guys like them just because, like I said, you could use it under a hood, or if you have a metal one to stick on there. And
well, it's diverse. You can charge. It's got an output on it also, so you can charge USB going out. You can charge your cell phone. You can. It's got a cord built into it where it's a charge cord, so it's built right into it. You plug it right into USB, it charges. It's just it's got a lot of cool features.
Yep, it's a great light.
And it's got aluminum housing. It's just it's a good one. One of my favorites.
And they're pretty durable. I've got a few of them that look like they've been chewed up and spit out by a corn binder, and they still work.
Awesome.
And it's like I said. Sometimes I have to take. I get a few of them that do eventually die, and I had to take parts off of it and fix another one because the guy's like, "Man, I love this light. You got to fix it." So,
yeah, we do lights. We do some organizational stuff, but our company was founded off of battery related products, and we still carry like the. Gosh, Brian, your number is like an MM501. We just got it, they're smaller items and less expensive, but the battery terminal cleaners and like the little terminal spreaders and the the hydrometers and replacement cables. We actually just came out a couple of years ago. We came out with a battery, like a crimper. It'll do 3-point clip. It'll do up to like 4 but instead of these big handheld $400 things, it's smaller, it's compact, it's kind of like the hammer one, but instead of a hammer there's a 3/8 female and this you can grab a 3/8 ratchet in an impact and crimp with the battery right in the car still, and it's super cool. It's a B7,
I like that
B7946 on our website.
Yeah, it is awesome. I sell a lot of those. I got a couple of radio shops, or
radio shops love them, and and we also use a cutter with that also, like it's the guillotine.
We go through our spaces. We've talked a lot about battery cables and ends on this show.
Yeah,
because we all kind of play around that stuff. That's
the funny part about that, and I like your battery terminal cleaner and the hydrometer, and you guys got one I think for DEF now also.
Right, we do. Yep.
Those things have been around for however long, 50, 60 years.
Yeah, the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still sell a ton of those.
We have
amazing.
We have, like, when you walk into our office warehouse area, there's a relic place that we made some older products and a picture of my grandfather and his desk and his card and just some cool stuff, some history. And we have an original product, and it's very, very original hydrometer, and it's almost could, if you cleaned it up a little bit, it still looks like it does today.
Yeah, it's crazy. You would think that after all these years with sealed batteries,
we wouldn't sell anymore.
All this stuff. I still can't believe how many hydrometers I sell, and it's almost as silly as, not to get too much off the subject, but selling a screwdriver.
Right?
People say, how do you have so many screwdrivers on it? And then when I look at my history and realize, I still sell over 200, 300 sets a year or whatever.
Boy, and you guys have the best grips on your screwdrivers too.
Yeah,
that's
we got the new blue. I'm waiting for my new blue ones to come in, man.
That is,
Brian, I think that's a cool topic you brought, like colors.
Yeah.
How crazy are these grown men? They want to color coordinate everything. It's like,
Sure.
like my 12-year-old daughter wants to color coordinate her glasses with her shirt, which I can understand. But these technicians are like, no, I need an orange one. I can't. Everything I have in my toolbox is orange. I can't buy a blue one.
Well, you know what it really comes down
when
to.
did this come about?
Well, I'll tell you when this came about, and I have this problem because when you have 3 or 4 guys in the shop, and somebody buys a set of screwdrivers or buys a light and destroys it, and then goes over to his buddy's side and switches,
right?
Because they never marked it or put their name on it. Then they don't know whose light is whose. And I've literally had guys in a fight over an air tool, because they both bought we had a die grinder thing, buy one die grinder, get another one for free.
Right.
And of course it was all one color. And then one didn't work. And I had to go in, get the serial numbers off of them and said, okay, Johnny, this one's yours. And okay, Johnny, this one's yours. Chuck, this one's yours,
Yeah,
and I had to divide it.
Growing up and going through shops in my days, wrenches were chrome, screwdrivers were all black handles.
Yep.
Air tools, my pneumatic tools were just aluminum. There was no colors, and if someone did something to someone's tool, they got a beating out back on lunchtime.
Right.
Hey, come here, I want to talk to you.
Yeah, they also weren't wearing masks in the grocery store too.
That's right. We never had problems. We never really had problems.
No, it was real simple, right?
Yeah.
But I get asked all the time, especially like if I do, I've told you before, and Ray's seen it, and I've had pictures on my Instagram where I have a shopping cart, and when we have a deal, and I'll load up like those flashlights or the neck lights or even the battery. I usually right before winter, I do that with all because battery testers and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I'll get 3 or 4 guys out there, and they'll buy, and one guy will say, "Don't you have a different color?"
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I've seen a Matco kick on some blue colors. You guys got some, and it's a cool color. And and some of your guys are like, "Well, it's too close to Cornwell," and it's like, well, whatever. Hey,
yeah,
the customer wants to buy a blue one, sell them a blue one.
Yeah, actually, they say that. Well, I had a guy trade in. I was doing a ratchet, trade in, and here's a Cornwell ratchet. And when you really look at it, the blue's not that close.
Right.
I don't know where my blue ratchet is.
But Luke, this discussion has been banged around on the internet and on our show and on this show to some degree. And you get to so red. Well, you know what? Matco has red. Snap-on has red. No one's complaining about that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Well, there's always one in a bunch, I guess.
But the Matco blue, I agree with all the people think. I think it's beautiful. I love that Matco blue color.
It really looks sharp.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
You need to do. You really need to do a headlight in that color, a neck light, and you need to do a battery terminal in that color because I know you do red and black, right?
Well, we can talk about that, Brian. Let's have a chat next week or so after the holidays about that. That'd be great, and I definitely would love to ship them out to you. You can approve them or tell me the colors are good, or we could work together on some stuff. That'd be fun.
Yeah, like I said, because I get asked about the blue. And of course, that's part of my sales pitch, blue to match your eyes. I mean, you gotta look sexy,
Well, I remember last year in Orlando, that was a topic. Can you make this in blue? I'm like, for what? Yeah. Oh, you want it in blue? Okay. I thought it was either maroon or red. Like, whatever you want, we'll make it.
Yeah. It's funny because that blue has something to do with the Pfizer. and we had a shortage. I was part of the shortage was because of the COVID vaccine, and they had we had problems. Our blue was on hold for a while because of all that.
Oh gosh.
So it's crazy. They need it. Whatever's in that goes with the blue to make. And I thought it was kind of funny. They said that we had to wait for our blue. We're starting to get them in. Thank God.
Honestly, nothing surprises me anymore.
Oh, I know. It's like I said.
It's ridiculous.
Tyler. Tyler, what were you going to say?
Oh, he was talking about sales pitches. So one of my favorites was on a big ticket item coming off the truck. You know, guys would be like, "Oh, I don't know. I should talk to my wife about it." And I would pull out my phone and say, "Hey, I got her number. Let's give her a call."
Nice.
Yeah, that probably won you over some good sales, Tyler.
Yeah.
Hey, I sold more toolboxes that way than any other.
You know
way.
what? And that culture, people love. It's about camaraderie, and it's part of busting chops. That is what we do. I mean, that's
and I'm sure Brian will agree. Nothing moves tools off your truck like selling tools.
Yeah.
Well, right.
The guy next to you gets a brand new set of screwdrivers and a new light, and he's like, "Well, my light's all dirty and scratched up. I need to go get one."
Oh, not only that, Tyler. I'll tell you, I've been on the truck with my buddies, and he's picking stuff up, I'm picking stuff up, and it's not a competition thing. It's weird. It's like,
it is weird.
Yeah, he's taking stuff. So and like he'll hand me. He goes, "Hey, weren't you looking for one of these?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, give me that." I'm like, "Hey, weren't you looking for this?"
He'll be like, "Oh, what's that thing do?" And then some technician you don't even talk to or know, he'll be like, "Oh, that does this, and I use it all the freaking time, and it's awesome," And you're like, "Well, now I need one."
And the tool man's in the front of the truck just saying, "Keep going, boys, keep going."
We'll do that. We'll do that at a trade show. Like I'll be talking to a dealer, I'll be talking to Brian, and like you said, you do kind of those study groups, and it's strange how it's either sections of the country or it's a way somebody does a certain sales pitch, but it'll be a popular item, and somebody comes up and says, "Man, I can't sell this at all." And Brian will say, "Oh, well, you know what you do? You go into a Ford shop and talks about how it works in the actuator." The next trade show, the guy's like, "Dude, I sold 40 of those things in the last year." It's like,
wow,
one little thing. I remember the what was it? It was a long reach ratchet we had, and it got into this. It was our quarter sticks, the 4S12Ls.
Yep.
It was a 12-inch, and it had a bit driver on one end that ratcheted and locked, and then a quarter-inch square drive on the other end that ratcheted and locked. But 12 inches, it was long and quarter-inch. We named it the quarter stick. And the Ford dealer said, or this one guy said to me one of the early years, he said, "I go into the Ford shops and these Tauruses have problems with their AC unit." And I had a guy drop the glove box, go in, change the actuator out. It's a 3-hour job. It took him 15 minutes.
Nice.
And so I would tell that story. I must have sold 50,000 of those things just from one story, because everybody's got Ford dealerships, and they're like, "Oh man, I bet that would work," and it did, and it's just
I'll tell you, I've done a couple of blend door actuators on Ford vans, and it ain't fun. You're taking half that right.
You got to get back past the firewall.
Yeah, and I almost want to weld two tools together to get something long enough. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You find that niche that it fits, and that's how you market it. And even if no one buys it for anything else, those guys are going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, back then I didn't even know what the hell an actuator was, but I told everybody like I knew what it was, and it sold it. It worked.
Yeah, that's where like I said, that's when, like you said, when you made the mistake on the hood lamp or the hood, the claw. It's, and like I said, that's when you have to have that type of insight on other items or other ways of pitching it, because then it'll click with somebody.
It's something that resonates. It's just one little job that saved the guy 20 minutes, and it's worth $100.
Yep. So a good example of that is I had a new technician at my. I used to be a medium and heavy duty diesel tech, and I had a new guy look at my toolbox, and he said, "Why do all of your extensions have heat shrink all the way up?"
Huh.
And I said, well, you've never had to do a starter on a new DD15, have you? Because you have to reach down past the terminal on the solenoid to get to the inside starter bolt.
How you can press F8.
And I was tired of arcing out and having to disconnect cables and all that stuff.
Using the keypad.
So to do the job faster, I put
Heat shrink. That's smart.
Yeah, so I had essentially they were insulated extensions. And I just, when I realized how well that worked, I put it on all of them.
That's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what one little, you figure out one little thing. I mean, I guess that's part of being a sales guy, and that's what we all are. I mean, on different levels, but I mean, I know in my small town there's a Snap-on guy, there's a Matco guy, and it's not the product, it's the personality that the guys like, and it's just. Yeah, I've talked to both of them, and the Snap-on guy, nice guy, Ted. But he's just, I want to say, a little arrogant, and he's not the most popular guy in there. So
you're absolutely
not
right.
just the product, man. Those guys got to like you, and you got to relate to them and help them out and hook them up, because it's a different. Some of the guys, it's a different personality. It's a different type of person.
And I will say that I had like one of the superstar of the Midwest Matco guys was my competition when I was selling Snap-on tools. And the easiest, the best way I could describe a good tool man is he's honest. He's honest to his customers, and he's honest about his competition. I would get random guys come up to my truck, like didn't even work at my stop for the day, and they would come on the truck and they'd be like, "Hey, do you have this? What you do, Dad?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got one in the back." And I was like, "How'd you know to stop and ask me about it?" And they'd be like, "Oh, well, Paul the Matco guy, he said you guys sell this, and it's the best thing for the job, and this is where I should go to get it." And there's a couple Matco products at the time that I thought were better than what we sold, and I would send guys his way too. So.
And that's true, because ultimately it comes down to like what you say and how it really does work. So you can't, you're going to get caught bullshitting these guys if you do. So
right.
It's no, that's good, because you need to work together like that. You can't, you start bad mouthing your competition, you just look like an idiot. Really, that's really what it comes down to.
I've said it many times. It's a good thing I don't live in Maryland, because if I was on Brian's tool truck, it'd be bad news.
Yeah.
If I was on John's tool truck, man, we'd be having lunches.
Wait, it don't matter, because you can order it anyway.
Yeah.
No, Louis, there really is a difference of being on that truck and looking around, and the tool guy's personality comes out in the way that truck is set up. Tyler knows that.
Yeah.
And the way they display things, and what they display, and what they don't display. And there really is, it's that visceral thing of being within fingertips reach of, because you pick everything up and you look at it.
Right.
And
and it's that weekly visit, it's service. And let's face it, a lot of the flags have their specialties. I mean, boy, I tell you, some of those Snap-on hand tools are pretty special. Mm-hmm. And just like a lot of the Matco diagnostic stuff, I mean, every one of those companies has their thing,
right?
But it comes down to service. Let's face it, every one of your customers can go on the internet and spend a whole heck of a lot less money, but they want that service, they want that relationship, and that's. Think about try to find another industry that they're going to pay that much more for something similar. Now, we know there is a difference in
barbershop.
Okay, yeah, I got mine done today. I'm losing some of it, but
right.
No, you're right. But I mean, for real, like there is a difference between the Craftsmans and the Matcos and stuff. We know that,
right?
But in hindsight, it's like, well, how much is that worth?
Yeah,
because there is a difference, but it comes down to service, and
it comes down to service, and sometimes stuff is just plain better too.
Better, right?
Like one of my favorite lines I always encountered was, "Well, Harbor Freight Tools have a lifetime warranty, and I can drive up there and replace it." And I said, "Yeah, but go to the body shop and you talk to these guys who are doing the final fit and finish, and ask them how many bolts they have to touch up after they tighten the bolt with a Snap-on or a Matco socket versus the guys that are using the Pittsburgh and the Craftsman and stuff like that. And I bet you the nicer tools are easier on the bolts, and it was always the case.
No question.
I was going to say, just not to sound like a tool snob, but through the years, it's like anything, like a musician or an athlete. A guy who's good at what he does or she does can pick up almost anything and they'll get the job done. You can do it because you have that ability and that skill level. But when you can feel a difference in the tools. And that's why I said I don't want to come off like a tool snob, but I can feel the quality
100%.
And the grips and in the ratchet, and of course you get the action. And I mean, down to the stupidest things like static things like a crow's foot.
But once you master that service level and build that relationship, they already know that it's a better product. They're not even going to worry about it. They're coming to you. Right. They don't even know who Harbor Freight is. They're coming. I mean, I go to Harbor Freight to buy zip ties, but it's kind of where it stops. Tarps and zip ties.
Yeah. Well, I always got made fun of the guys that get pictures of my truck in front of the Harbor Freight. And they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing there?" And it's like, aha. What I'm actually doing is I'm going and I'm buying all the air tool fittings that are never in the box with your new air tool. So I always threw a couple in there for all my guys that would buy an air tool. I mean, if you're spending $200 or more on an air tool, you better get a freaking connector for free.
Right.
I've caught a tool guy or two in Harbor Freight once in a while.
I go to Harbor Freight. And I sent Ray a picture. And the only reason why I go in, because I go in and find my skips, the guys that owe me money. And I want to tell you,
collecting bills.
It's the best feeling in the world when you walk in and the aisle will scatter because they're all they see. One way in and one way out.
Right,
and I stand there with my ticket book and say, "Oh, by the way, you owe me some money, right?"
Beautiful. That's cool.
I stopped by. I sent you a picture on the gold ratchet.
Right.
After the show, when we got off the show Sunday.
Right.
I said, it's about time. I'll be back, and I ran down to my Harbor Freight to run the crowd, and it was funny because I actually found two guys in there. So
that's super funny, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Because they know that they can't get back on a truck. Right. And if the tool guy's doing the correct thing, when the guy comes out, you run him through the system to see if he owes anybody. Some guys will start a business, start doing business with the guy. And, of course, once he gets over a certain amount of money, then they want to put him on the books. And they want, especially, unfortunately, some of these guys that pay a lot of cash, they're not running it through.
Right.
Legit until it gets to a certain mark, because then they're like, "Oh, this guy might skip out on me," and then of course, "Oh man, this guy owes Brian $1,000 or $500 or whatever."
And I'm sure that's happened. I mean, you especially with toolboxes and and stuff on credit. It's like, well, we fired the guy last week, and how are you going to find him?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, maybe you find him eventually, but that's tough.
And the easiest thing that I ever the easiest thing I ever did was program all of my neighboring Snap-on guys into my phone. Mm-hmm. And I found out all of the Matco. I got all their numbers for all the areas around. And if I was missing a guy, with a toolbox
network,
whatever else, I'd be burning up some phone lines, be like, "Hey, keep an eye out for this guy. He owes Snap-on or me a lot of money."
Right. And, don't sell to him, and let me know if you find him. Yeah, because you all feel the same pain, whatever flag you're finding. I mean, that's the name of the game's collecting the money that's owed to you,
Yeah.
And that's good because every tool guy has ratchet straps on the truck somewhere, so you could
tie him right up.
Toolbox,
I shoved him in the bottom drawer.
Yeah, drive around for half a day, just let him simmer.
I've done that. Where I've taken somebody else's box. Because my tools were in the box,
Yeah.
And I've called the Snap-on guy up and I said, "Hey, has this guy been paying you?" And he goes, "No, he's been ditching me." And I said, "Okay, no problem." And I go in, snatch it up, roll it on. And he goes, "Hey, you can't take that. That's not your box." And I'm like, "Well, it's mine now." So
yeah.
And then I called I call the guy, call the Snap-on guy up and say, "Hey, I got your box. Do you?" And luckily, with the Snap-on, their key, you have they don't have the 2 million different keys like we do. So,
Right.
if he's got
Universal.
a universal key, he can get in it, and I can get my stuff. He's happy, and
Yeah, you got to work together, man. Those Epic toolboxes are pretty sweet.
Yeah, they are.
I have an Epic and a Master Series in my shop now, and man,
Right.
the Epic is a nice toolbox.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Hey Brian, while we're on the subject of doing repos, have you ever heard of a guy doing a trade-in on another brand box and the credit company coming after the guy after the trade-in? Right.
Yep.
So you trade in a Snap-on box and then you get a call next week saying, "Hey, that's actually, guy owed a bunch of money to credit."
Happened to me.
Yep. I've heard about that happening a couple times where guys would ditch out on a Snap-on dealer and try to trade it into Cornwell or Matco or whoever. And
when I first, I was only in, this was 2-3 years in, I was a little wet behind the ears, and this guy came out and there wasn't a Snap-on guy, and I didn't, in that area. And it was kind of funny because we did the deal and loaded it up, and it was something. I mean, I'm not making this up. It was something like 35 seconds later, I get this phone call from Snap-on, from Wisconsin, the
Kenosha,
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Hey, hello, this is a Snap-on credit. You got box, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, well, there's an outstanding balance on it. How are you going to pay for it?"
Oh boy.
And I was like, and then to even make it better on the whole subject, because I go home, I'm thinking about this, and I said, "Well, I'm just going to reject the contract. I'm just going to go back tomorrow, drop his box off, and do it." Next morning, I go back to the shop. The guy rolled out.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Wow.
Did you ever find him?
No, never found him again.
Wow.
And so I had to pay Snap-on, and I had to make like three or four payments on his box so that it didn't get charged back from me from Matco.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was a very tough month because I lost a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
That was tough.
And that guy knew what he was doing the whole time. I mean, the world
And
has
that's
all
the
kinds of
problem.
people. Man.
There's a bad apple in every bunch, right?
Yeah.
So they're out there, and man, that is one of the things that bit me in my first couple years as well. Toolboxes have wheels, and they're freaking easy to move. And if you don't have enough friends in a shop, guy boxes up and rolls out, and you don't know about it for a week, and then he's long gone.
It's funny. It's funny because like we talk about our networking and talking, I have, of course, after 20 years now, I have a handful of tow truck drivers I know, and, owners of tow truck companies. And it's so funny because I'll get a phone call every once in a while. "Hey, I'm moving this box from so-and-so. Is this from your area?"
Oh, nice.
And it's funny that, there are some people that do know that how much is on the hook for us.
Right.
That you get that you get a heads up,
right.
And it is nice, but it does burn. But I tell you, after that, I learned real quick. But you just can't chase that bad money because it will put you out of business. And I know that sounds very bizarre, but when you spend so much time focusing. It's a small enough world. They'll come around. You'll find them at Harbor Freight. So
it's funny. That is great that you do that.
Tyler, what led to you getting out of the business?
So it was kind of a long story. It was a multitude of things. The area I was in, they put me in as a company owned route. for a while, and the route had been very neglected for years and years. Couldn't keep a steady franchise in it. So instead of rolling over franchise after franchise, they put a company store in there, and I ran that for about 9 months, and everything was looking good. All the numbers that needed to be going up were going up. All the numbers that needed to stay down were down, and they offered an incentive for employees of the company to buy a franchise, and it ended up being like 20% out of pocket compared to what a normal get in would be. So I jumped on it, and it was good for about 2 more years. And then I had a lot of legacy customers who were close to retirement age, had no desire to spend on tools anymore. And it was just a lot of uphill struggle to try to get my management team to help me develop new customers. And it was a whole bunch of small things that just added all up. And by my 4th year, I was struggling to keep fuel in the truck and all that stuff. And Snap-on said, "Hey, we really don't want to see you have to file bankruptcy. Let's try to get you out of here." Yeah. And so they ended up doing the right thing in the long run. Good. But one of the things that happened to me in the middle of all that was right about the same time I was buying my franchise, I got realigned to a different management team area. And I went from guys who had, like, the support team knew a lot of my long-term customers from the years that they had been loyal Snap-on customers. And I got shifted to another support team 3.5 hours away. I was on the very fringe. So right in the crucial time period where I was a new franchisee, I had essentially a virgin management team,
right,
who didn't know any of my customers, didn't know the existing history and issues that they were ongoing and all that stuff. So all that stuff snowballed, and I would love to get back into it. I loved the social interaction and the sales and stuff. And of course, as Brian can tell you, that the tools sell themselves. You have to sell yourself to your customers, and then they just buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows that you two guys have the best brands. I mean, there's no question about it.
It's true too, because what you needed was, I mean, one customer doesn't make or break a business, but you need a guy like me who's older, has his main tools for 45 years, and they still, I take care of them, so they still work. But every time I get in that truck, I'm buying more stuff because, I actually doubled up because at the shop I started working in, I didn't want to bring all my tools from home, so I had to have another set. So I started buying doubles of everything.
Yeah, and I would say probably 30 to 40% of my customer list were guys who had every hand tool you could think of under the sun. They'd been in the business for 40, 45 years. They're like, 5 more years and I'm done, whatever. And they really only wanted me to stop every week to fix their broken screwdriver.
Yeah, you're just servicing their older products. And
they had no real desire to get into the newer, like, electronic diagnostic stuff or
upgrade this, stuff. Upgrade that.
Exactly. So
you want somebody that says, "What's new?" And here's the $70 I owe you. Like, by the way, I've got 4 broken bits that you need to replace. Like,
it's funny because I'm kind of in that I'm hitting my 20-year mark. Okay. Yeah. And it's 20 years and I don't have a lot of changeover I don't have a lot of movement. I have, my skips are very low, and you figure in the 20 years, of course I know I have a lot of time, but I'm less than 1.5% of
that's good
of loss. You know what I'm saying? Really good. So I know it's a great number. The only thing is,
my area, they told me historically my route was 3 to 4.
Yeah. And that's about like the national, that's like the average where they base on. And but going Tyler, along the line,
No, I was gonna ask Tyler where he's located.
I'm right up the road from Lewis. I'm here in Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Car bomb capital of the world.
But one of the big problems that I have is that we just talked about it earlier in the show. We're hitting up on the 3rd generation, And I'll never forget. I have this one gas station. It's run by two brothers, which they got from their father, and so forth. And you know, and they've gone through, and of course, one of the brothers, his son is in the gas station business too. You know, is with them. You know, and we were talking, and they were like, you know, we're out of here. This was right when COVID happened. You know. And he goes, we're going to be out of here, and so-and-so's taking over, and we're just showing him, you know. So, and of course, the shop's a little run down and slow. So, of course, you know, I put on my sales pitch, and I was like, hey, you know, you looking for a couple new guys? We'll get some stuff. We'll update your computer. We'll do this. He says, man, when my old man's out of here, I'm selling this dump, and I'm cashing in, and I'm out of here. He didn't have 2 cents about what that whole family, you know, for the third generation on, to have with it. And I was just shook. And actually, unfortunately, one thing led to another. Both the brothers are still there, and they're still running the place.
They didn't want the ship to go down.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what carries the whole family. I mean, you know, they had a couple gas stations, and that's.
So did you get them in there in that scan tool yet?
No, because they are, unfortunately, they are on their way out. I mean, you know,
right now in that area, they are,
Well, right now in that area is such a huge. That's our biggest problem now is development. You know, I'm coming down to losing 2 big dealerships because, you know, the permits have been pulled, things have been filed, and they're ready to bulldoze. And Montgomery County, the county that I live in, and the state of Maryland in general, but Montgomery County does not want to have anything to do with automotive. And they make it very difficult. Gas stations go out. I mean, if they don't have anybody in there within 6 months, they lose the permit. You can never file again for a permit for that place.
Yeah, and OEMs are making it harder and harder too because they don't want the aftermarket to repair their vehicles. They want all that service work to come back to the dealerships.
Yeah,
I know I was talking to one of the guy that does almost all of my tuning on high horsepower applications and stuff. He is of the same opinion as me that within the next 5 years or so, these OEMs, they're going to make their software, their operating software for engines,
it's already
so hard to crack that really, unless you are a massive company like Lingenfelter, HP Tuners, ProCharger, you're just not going to be able to get performance aftermarket stuff for these newer vehicles because the OEMs are cracking down on it so hard.
Then again, if you find a 700 horsepower car, like you really don't need much more. You really don't.
1,000. Gotta have 1,000.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Tyler ain't playing around with the 800 to the ground.
Yeah, I know.
874.
All right.
Go.
It's a beast.
You know, I was going to say, Tyler, the way, you know, maybe Brian, this is good for you too. You know, use me as a model. Tell your older guys, hey, listen, if you upgrade your tools like I did, I upgraded a lot of my older screwdriver sets because the Snap-on screwdrivers, the black handles, after a while they outgas and they were getting sticky. And he said, yeah, that's a problem with that we've had. And you know, so I traded in a couple of sets and took the newer ones with the composite handles.
Yeah, they got those PVC handles. Those are nice.
It gave me a whole new thing to bitch about. I was like, these freaking handles, I use them once and it's freaking dirty. And then he pulls out a can of WD-40. He goes, Ray, you got to keep one of these. And he goes, this is how you clean them. I'm like, oh, okay. So it just reinvented the wheel about I just started bitching about something new.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, funny story about being a tool guy. My first 2 months or so, I went to this diesel shop. It was a whole bunch of young guys. It was this new shop, you know, and I sold everybody in there a set of screwdrivers. I sold everybody in there a set of wrenches. Like they practically cleaned out my truck, right? Like 6-7 guys, all of them, you know, over $1,000 on my books the first day I stopped.
Nice.
And I get there the next week and I'm all hyped, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my favorite stop. And they're coming out in droves with broken screwdriver handles. So like the grip just snapped. And
Wow.
I replaced like 2 of them, and then that was like all the spares I had because it's never the handle that breaks; it's always the blade.
Right.
And if the third guy comes out with a broken handle, and I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" Thinking they're using them as like chisels or something.
Pry bars.
What they had found out is if you throw a snap-on screwdriver at the ground and it hits handle first, it bounces really high in the air.
Oh.
And so they were playing games bouncing
that's
screwdrivers.
Oh boy.
And they broke a bunch of handles. Yeah.
Wow.
Who does
I
that?
found that out one day. I was working in the garage and I
Ammo sale.
had a screwdriver in my hand. I think it was probably like a number 2, maybe a 2 Phillips, whatever. And I was at the vise and I was just like thinking about how to do something. And I had the screwdriver. And I just started like bouncing it, like upside down, just on the vise, just tapping it, and it had that. There was like a resonance that it had, a resonance frequency. And I noticed that it would bounce back up. And I said, but I never went further than that. I said, that's pretty cool, and then I went back to doing what I was doing.
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
Hey guys, I got to jump ship. I got an early start tomorrow.
All right, Lewis.
All right, Lewis.
Already gone.
I'll be
Hey, I
leaving
really
shortly as
appreciate
well.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Nice to meet you, man. Anytime. It was enjoyable.
Well, listen, I tell every guest, you're a family now. You can come on anytime you have a new product, or if you just want to hang out and kick it with us, you're always welcome.
All right. When Matco and Easy Red this later on in this year, we got some really awesome organizational products for the toolbox coming out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brian and I will chat and figure out where we can come show them and do some show and tell, and
Okay.
Right.
we're pretty excited about it. So
Well, hey, here's the thing you could do. I'm doing a big event at Tyler's shop. I'm cutting my roof off my school bus, and we're raising it 18 inches.
oh, cool.
So we're needing extra hands. If anybody wants to stop in, we're welcome. Welcome. We're gonna have barbecue.
Bring like a 5x3 banner of your company brand, and you're welcome to show up.
Gee,
We'll
thanks.
feed you.
I only have a 6-footer.
There you go. That
We
works.
will feed you.
I don't have any banners.
Hey, I do
don't
get
have
out. I do
one
get out
job.
to that area once in a while, and I drive right by Youngstown. I'd love to stop by and
Oh
say
yeah,
hi.
for sure.
And Lewis,
Okay,
don't worry, 'cause, I keep Tyler. I keep Tyler. I shouldn't keep Tyler, but I will. I keep Luke in my rotation, and there's like we'll do. We get him Sunday. We'll get him over here too.
Yeah,
We'll
for
just
sure.
we'll keep the show
Yeah.
rolling.
Be awesome.
I
Thanks,
am. If you take I-80 through Youngstown, my shop is literally like 2 minutes from I-80.
Block.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
that's what I
I've
do,
been
so.
there.
I have
Yeah.
too, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get off at the Girard exit, which is Route 422.
Okay.
First exit or second exit into Youngstown.
Yeah, if you take 422 south towards downtown Youngstown, I'm literally like a mile and a quarter down on the left-hand side.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
That's
not too
awesome.
far of a drive.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
And I do go out to see Matco, which is in Stowe, so I got to drive right through there
Mhm.
from 80.
How many are you guys back at? Are you guys aren't back in any kind of person format? Is it still Zooming or just talking?
You're talking about going to Matco? Yeah, it's I'm
yeah.
begging for in-person meetings because you get so much more accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, as you guys know, being on a tool truck, it's just the way to go, and it's just not. Yeah, you start getting into to the corporate part of this business, and Matco from the top down, it's like no people, no strangers coming in the building, and most of the CMs, the category managers and stuff, they're working from home, and it's like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
I'm really
invite
hoping
myself to their house, but
we're only down to what 5 weeks or whatever till Expo in Vegas.
February's coming up, man. So yeah,
And I really hope that this doesn't get really nasty because man,
it's as
so
nasty
crazy.
as the news media makes it.
I know,
the
right?
problem is it's escalating again. So now Boston, Chicago, LA, I think New York, they're all going to require these freaking vaccine shot passports to get into a restaurant or any kind of public.
I had a
venue.
show I went to a restaurant in Queens the other night, and the guy says, I need to see your vaccine. Like, what? I'm like, oh, I forgot. I'm in
Hi,
the other
Lewis.
borough.
All right, Lewis, take it easy,
Hey,
Lewis.
Lewis.
All right, Lewis. I
You
was
should have asked
floored.
him for his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my wife just took a phone out and just the screen lit up to that thing. He goes, okay, good enough. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
There was
Gotta
a whole meme I read the other day. Guy, and his gal walking into a restaurant, and the guy at the door says, I need to see your, vaccination stuff. And the guy says, well, who's going to be serving us? And
Yeah.
says the guy's
I
name.
saw
And he
that
goes,
same
well,
thing.
I'm going to need his information.
yeah.
And
Right,
the
right.
chef-
And I need to
and
know
the-
if he's got any communicable diseases and the whole deal. And while you're at it, you might as well give me the information for everybody that's in the kitchen.
Right.
Now he definitely got his
Which
plate licked before they.
this is
serve
how
it
you're going to get around this shit, is to stand up and fight and give him the old fuck you.
Yeah.
You're
And
gonna
that's
do
what
it, I'm gonna do it.
that is what it's
How
coming
can I
to.
trust you?
Right.
The people that had patience, and at first I feel it was our civic duty, in
Right.
2021. Hey,
For the first 2 weeks.
yes, we don't know what the hell's going on. It's our civic duty to sit back, let people figure it out.
Right, because all the
So-
initial
years.
indicators were that it was going to be really bad. Like my brother, he lived in Shanghai, China at the time,
Mhm.
and when everything started popping over there, he just so happened to be on vacation in New Zealand for Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
And he sat down with his wife and was like, "Look, do we go back to China or not?" And they luckily made the decision to come back to the U.S. and wait it out, and
Yeah.
that ended up being a very smart decision.
Yeah, good
But
thing.
that first initial time period was looking like it was going to be maybe some really scary crap going on, and then it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then it was 6 weeks to whatever the next motto was, and then after that it was a 8-month shutdown, and let's
Right.
just put 20% of all small businesses out of business.
The news here on Long Island yesterday, I was watching it, and they were making a big thing. The COVID rate now is up to 10.2%. And they were like, the sky is falling. And I said, wait a minute, let me think of something. I think on Long Island, we have like 8.5 or 9 million people. So
Yeah.
what's 10%? It's like, I have 10,000 people in the town I live in. It's
Right.
like 10%
Well,
is nothing.
Well, and
Washington's crying. Oh my God, this thing, it spread across the country so fast. It's unbelievable. It does this, it does this, it does this. And then they turn around and they go, well, it's really mild symptoms, and
Yeah.
you get over it in a
Right.
couple of days, and you won't have to go to the hospital. So shut your fucking hole.
exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Why are you even bothering to do this crap? Oh,
I
it spreads so
Because-
fast. Good, let it
because
spread.
the-
And I
because
said
the
to my
one
wife
person
today,
out
I'm
of-
like, why are there millions of people waiting online to get tested? What are you
'Cause-
getting
yeah.
tested for?
Because
You're sick or you're not sick? Do you
Right.
feel good when you got out of bed today?
what they say,
Okay,
7 hours
Then
to
go
get
to
a test.
goddamn
Yeah.
go to work.
No, it could, a
Do
lot
you
of that
feel
could
like
be
shit? Call your doctor. Figure out what's going on.
a lot of that
But
could
if
be
you don't
employer
feel
based
sick,
though.
you're not sick.
A lot of it could be employer based. People have to get a test to go, like once a week.
Yeah.
I just
I'm
talked
the
to someone who had to do
employer.
that.
I ain't telling anybody to go.
No,
get
you're
tested
not.
or
But
any
I'm
of that
saying
crap.
around here they do.
Yeah, they do.
It's crazy. How much, Luke? Real quick, how much? I know we roughly hit it on Sunday, but your backlog or your product, are you guys still flowing okay with product?
No.
Or are you having? Are we gonna have issues here for
Supply chain issues.
Expo? Are we gonna have Expo problems for ordering?
Well, what's really great, I'll say about especially Matco. I work with a guy named Mike Murray, and he's the inventory control guy for us. And usually we set up specials in the beginning of the year. We set up our specials for Expo, and everything's planned in advance. And we, the stuff that we make in the U.S., there's obviously less lead time, but we import stuff from Taiwan and some stuff from China, and it's 90 to 100 days. If we order 10,000 pieces of something, it
Yeah.
comes in 100 days.
Yeah.
But now
Kyle here is
that
running
lead
on
time's
the
like
screen.
almost a year. So yeah, it's a problem. And we'll get a container that comes in. It's supposed to have 4,000 of these pieces, and it's got 1,000.
Yeah.
They shorted us on the container. It's just a mess, and there's no end in sight, really. Yet.
And pretty much the whole performance community for aftermarket automotive work, all that stuff. It almost doesn't matter how much you make in the US. We're still at the mercy of computer chip crap that isn't made here.
Well, and even for some reason, like, we have injection molding. We used to get virgin plastic. It was just always available. Nope. We can't even run our plastic through our molds because we can't get plastic. So made in the USA doesn't mean anything.
Right, because the raw materials aren't made here.
Raw material, exactly.
Yeah, that's what. Like, I know. I talk to. I don't talk to him a lot, but I'm friends on Facebook with Doug Cook, who runs Motion Raceworks, a medium-sized.
Oh yeah, what's his face just bought into that?
Yeah, Cletus.
Yeah.
He just signed a sponsorship partnership thing.
Just got married.
Yeah, that too, dummy. So the thing that he's like big time, produced in the USA, made here, all that stuff. But they've been having issues because there's not enough foundries in the US to make the aluminum to make the products.
Correct.
So now
China's just keeping it all. They're hoarding it. They're flexing their muscles.
Yeah.
We get a lot of our hand tools and stuff are designed or made in Taiwan because of their engineering and their quality control, and we just can't get product, and it's frustrating because
the real frustrating part for you is your stuff's probably sitting on a ship off of California right now.
We've watched a container of ours. It's been 130 days. It's been actually. I could go down to Newark and I could see it with a pair of binoculars. It's been there for 3 weeks and it hasn't moved.
Damn.
And it's got some access stuff on it. And I keep telling the guys, oh yeah, it's in the port of Newark. We'll have it any day. It's not moving. It's just.
Oh my God.
Go out there and get it.
I was gonna say, swim out there and grab it.
Yeah.
Take a boat out of that. Take a boat, climb up the side of that thing, open the doors, and start throwing stuff over.
Those guys on the container see my fat ass going out there in a canoe. They're like, what the heck is this guy doing? With my muzzle loader.
On that note, I gotta go. I'll see
Tyler,
you guys.
nice to meet you, man.
Nice meeting you.
Merry Christmas.
You send me a message when you're going through Youngstown. We'll stop and have lunch.
Consider it done, dude. Nice to meet you.
All right.
Awesome.
Have a good one, guys. Merry Christmas.
Still long time. Thanks.
So how come Newark isn't unloading stuff? Because I can understand California, just a bunch of freaking assholes, but Newark's
not much better.
You're talking to boys.
Yeah, it's just I think that was the freight forwarder that we used for that specific container. We've gotten products in that we've ordered after that. It's just this certain container we just even the route it took and it went back and forth and up and down. It was just a bad move on our part, I guess. We tried a certain freight forwarder with a better price and it's not panning out. Yeah. And you make phone calls and we've already paid for it and it's just you get the runaround and you know what? Nobody gives a shit. You already paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But when they're in the port, they will not unload until you pay for it. So when we can see they're in port, you pay for it and then they unload it and we take our freight guy and they move it up, it's 2.5 hours to our shop.
Right. Yes. I just, I don't know. I'm not any kind of real conspiracy theorist, but why would so many people, Americans, okay, that are involved in all of this supply chain stuff here, the stuff that's floating on, in the ocean on both ends, why do they want this country to fail?
I don't know.
Why are they not saying, you know what? This is fucking America. We're the best. We've done it before. We can do it again. Let's get to work. But no, it's just not happening.
Well,
and I got it in terms of stuff like you were talking about foundries that can't make stuff, the whole deal. And I kind of think if Trump was still the president, that he would have made a move like when they put all of those people and all that money into building the Hoover Dam,
Yeah.
that they would have made a national project out of becoming manufacturing independent from the rest of the world. He would have broke the bank of Washington, D.C., but he would have got factories started to be built, the whole deal. I
He was
really
working
think
on it.
that's what he would have
That
done.
was part of a plan. It was already
Yeah.
in
He
motion.
would have
working on it,
made
yeah.
he would have made moving America forward #1, not this bullshit about we have to have electric cars and
Well-
we're gonna build back better.
Well, and look at all the immigrants from Mexico that just flooding the place, and you can't tell me it's not just to be spiteful. It's all that was his
some
plan. The wall.
There's a plan going on here that's not
And
good.
isn't there enough steel left over that's already paid for from the government? I think
We just
I
talked
heard
about
it. You'd have to
on
look it up.
Sunday.
But there's steel left over, raw steel for the wall
Right.
in America, already paid for. The government said it's earmarked for something else. You can't use it for manufacturing. It's like it's sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And there's
So-
all of that equipment for the wall on site where shithead went and did his deal and said, "Get off the job." So
Ridiculous.
that stuff's sitting there. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
doing
crazy.
nothing but just rotting away. And yeah, we got an open border, and every asshole and their mother wants to roll in.
Yep,
And
and
you
they
got
are.
these poor guys on the border that can't do shit. Yet
No.
Washington, D.C. doesn't see that. Oh, no. We're looking over here.
Well, that's
Spiteful.
going to be
There's
that's going to be a
nothing going on
vote.
down there.
That's going to be a vote, Johnny. Come on now. It's going to
I
be a vote
don't
for him.
care
Well,
if they
the
come
vote-
here
the
as long
vote
as they
can't come
fix my
sooner.
vegetables.
Fix my-
I was
Easy, populous girl. Easy.
living in a farm town that I live in, because this is where the strawberries come from, and you've got these migrant workers. And I always said to myself, if you need these people to do these kind of jobs, why doesn't America make it easy for these people to legitimately get here? Put kiosks in Mexico and say, "Hey, man, we need 7,000 people to come in
Right.
and pick vegetables. So come, do a real quick check on these people. Set up stuff. Work with Mexico. Set up centers in Mexico where you could vet these people, and if they pass, you give them what they need and you ship them up."
Well,
Done.
there are
Why do you
brokers.
got to deal with this crap?
There are brokers companies that you do that, but you're paying. I mean, really, and they're becoming more popular. Like
There you go, Brian.
you go through this broker, you get a group of immigrant workers, but you're paying a lot for the brokerage fee, and it's almost not worth it. But there is becoming some. It's a little easier, but it's just you don't know what you're getting. All of a sudden, there's 40 guys that are shipped up to you, and you're hoping everybody's honest, and you got to house them, and you got to make sure they have rides to the store, and you got to take care of them and babysit them. And it's like, but yeah, they work like crazy. My uncle runs a lumber yard, and he said they're the best workers in the world.
We have all these strawberry farms here. This is where all the strawberries come from in the wintertime.
Where do you live, John?
Plant City, Florida.
Oh, nice.
So all of the farms, they have school buses that they use to move these guys from one field to the next. And each bus is a different color. Each company has a color that they pick. So this farm over here has got yellow. So they got like 15 or 20 yellow, but bright yellow buses. And their workers all wear yellow shirts. Then the guy down the block, his stuff is green.
It's like
The other
kids
one's
on a school trip.
purple. Yeah. It's
That's
know
where
what?
that's
they
where the
get it done.
It
that's
works.
where the color comes in for the tool.
There it is. There it is.
We've solved the problem.
Who
That's
wants
why
red,
this
who
guy
wants
said,
yellow,
"I
who
want
wants
this
green?"
color."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's unreal. But it's why, like, on like Sunday when they're not picking stuff, you go into Walmart and they use that bus to bring them all to Walmart to do the
Oh, yeah.
shopping.
Hey,
Yeah.
It's like,
before-
the yellow crew's here. It must be 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
one
I
of-
think
one
we
of-
could go on. We could go on forever about the
yeah.
the issues here. It's just it's beyond ridiculous, and it's funny every day. You hear stuff and it's mind blowing, but it's not surprising anymore. It's like
No.
Well, you
But
know, you
before
just
you roll out, Luke, I want to ask you a question that's really common on playing in traffic, and unfortunately, some of the people have already left. Which is the best Tri-5?
Oh, geez. Well, the important guy isn't here.
Haven't heard that question in a while.
I mean, is it a 55 Chevy, a 56 Chevy, or a 57 Chevy? Which is the
What's the choice?
best looking of those cars there?
boy, I'm gonna have to plead the fifth on this one.
No. This is the running tally on where we're at on this.
And we do have a clear winner. We have a clear, front runner through time.
So
For
I
the
hate to put you on the spot, but I need to
55,
know.
56, 57.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for my lack of knowledge, I'm sure there's something with headlights or something. I'm going to throw out. It's going to be the later model.
They all have single headlights.
Okay,
So you're saying 57, right?
that's what I'm going with.
All
That's an
right.
outlier. See, there's an outlier in our
It's
chart.
an outlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, usually it's
But-
55 or 56, and there's one particular person who thinks the 56 is God's gift to automotive.
Yeah, so I just had to know
All right.
where
Guys,
we're at. So we
It
can
was good to
report
see.
next week.
Good to meet everybody. I'll come on again for sure.
Luke, I'll keep in touch. Don't worry.
Yeah, everybody have a happy holiday and
Too.
You do the same.
wear
Hopefully
your
I'll
mask.
see you real
Wear,
soon.
wear your masks around your family during Christmas time.
Yeah,
please, when you're
yeah,
inside
yeah,
having
yeah.
dinner.
I live in Florida. I don't have to.
You know, one more thing about the mask thing. It was New York just came out with this mandatory mask inside thing, and
Yep.
the fine print was like, when you're in restaurants and actively eating, you're allowed to take the mask
Yeah.
off, and it's like,
Right.
so you're saying,
Oh shit.
I'm chewing my food, and when I'm done, I have to put them. It's
Yeah.
actively eating. It's
Actively eating.
that's what I'm saying. It's beyond.
Stupid.
We just laugh at it now. It's like, and our county just said we can't. We're a little hillbilly county upstate, and it's like we can't police this. We're not even doing it. We not. You don't have to follow.
Well, the
Because
good
I
thing is-
said to my buddy who owns a grocery store, I said, listen, man, I don't really want to wear a mask in your store, but if you're going to get a fine, I'll do it. He's like, no, the county called and said that they can't police it. They don't care.
Yeah, the good thing is down here in Nassau and Suffolk County, each county executive has put the word out that they're not going to enforce it in the counties. Like I
Yeah.
said, I was in Queens, and now I got to show my card. I got to wear the mask. I got to, the
Right.
whole yards.
That's why you got to live here. My whole state, you don't have to enforce it.
Yeah.
You think your governor's going to run?
I don't know what he's going to do. I love him as a governor. I don't want to see him leave.
I think
really
it's a
don't wanna-
rumor. He never really said anything about it. I think it's just a hope.
What do you think's going to happen here, Luke?
Man, she's something different too. I thought I was excited for a second, but
I was
holy
too.
shit.
Yeah, she's
And
I don't know.
The outgoing mayor, Mayor McCheese over here, all of a sudden he's all active with these plans, and he just signed a bill that all new construction has to be fully electric by 2027. I was like, last time I checked, it was real fucking expensive to pay electricity in New York. I mean, my electric bill is high, and he wants the whole building except for emergency use. Like, fucking an idiot. It's like, really?
Ray, you sure you aren't talking about our governor? Because he wants all these electric things in 2030 or whatever it is.
I guess they're getting across the country. But if they realized how electricity was made, it all goes back to fossil fuel anyway.
Yeah, but nobody wants to admit that.
Of course not. It's either
It's always you know what it is. I put politicians in the same basket as magicians. Okay, the guys in Vegas. It's all about watch the hand while I do this.
Right.
Don't
No
look over
question.
here. Look over here.
Right.
That's what it's
And
all about. So it's like
more-
electric, but don't say anything about how we actually generate that electricity.
How about the freaking grid that's going to collapse?
Yeah,
Well, and more people are seeing that now because it's becoming like, like I said, actively eating. It's like, wait, time out. You can be as, liberal as you want. You start reading stuff like this and you have to start questioning, like, what are you doing?
I watched
really
a girl. I watched a
can't
lady
wait.
eat McDonald's French fries through her mask.
Jesus.
Oh, my
Oh, I hope you recorded it. That,
I wanted to. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? And she's over there. Pop, pop, pop,
You
pop,
should have just
pop.
told Brian. Should just told. Look, why don't you just stick them up your ass, and it'll be a little quicker trip.
right.
You know,
Why
to
don't
the
you go out
bathroom.
and play in traffic and save the world a lot of time?
right.
Oh well. All right, Luke. Well,
Crazy.
hopefully,
Gentlemen,
I see you
cheers.
in Vegas.
Yeah, you will, Brian. Hey, guys, happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry
and,
Christmas, Luke.
have a
Thank you.
great evening.
Stay in touch and be safe, my friend.
All right.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to watchpttv.com, the new 100% free Powertube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.